Complete Xactimate Level 3 training is available right now at adjustertvplus.com. If you can sketch the Hernandez building, you can handle just about anything Xactimate throws at you, at least at level 2. This multi-floor diagram pulls together nearly every technique and tool from level 2, including multiple rooms, staircases, angled walls, and tons more. And again, if you want to take your skills to the next level, we've just added our brand new level 3 user certification prep for Xactimate to our level 1 and 2 trainings inside of adjustertvplus.com. All right, now I'm going to show you how to bring it all together without getting lost in the details. Starting now. All right, if you're making real money as an adjuster, don't leave your career exposed. Errors and omissions and general liability insurance from Kaplik is designed just for you, and it might even be cheaper than what you're already paying. Snap this QR code right here or visit cplic.net/adjustertv to grab the free guide and lock in smarter protection today. Hey, what's up? Matt here with Adjuster TV, and in this video, we're gonna do a level 2 sketch that is part of the Xactimate level 2 certification prep training that you can find inside of Adjuster TV Plus. And specifically, we're gonna do kind of a high-speed walkthrough of the Hernandez sketch. Let's go ahead and get started and take a look at that. So this is what the Hernandez sketch looks like when it's all done. There's quite a few rooms here, includes some stairs. There's some vertex use with the angled walls. There's some half walls and knee walls. There's different ceiling types. There's kind of a variety of things here. And it's really the main diagram that we use to train the level 2 certification tools and features in Xactimate X1 and in the sketch feature. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So the very first thing we want to do is we're going to create the entry/foyer, and this room is, we'll name it first, entry foyer. It is not a sub room of anything, and it's 11 foot 10 wide by 14 foot. So this one's 14, and this one is 11, 5. Sorry, 11, 10. So there's our foyer. Next thing we want to do is we're going to create the sunken dining room, and this one's where it kind of gets a little bit interesting with some of the kind of a little bit more advanced features of Xactimate, and that is we're going to use the brake tool to drop our brake in here. It's about 3'2" down from the top there, where this kind of want to get this started. And so I'm going to hold down the control key to create this room. I'm going to pull it out roughly how I want it, which is a 10 by 10 room. So it's 10. So I already have 10 here, which we're just going to double check. It's not quite 10, 10, 10. And then we want to have it be 10 foot 10 wide, 10, 10. And this is, we'll name it the sunken dining room. And then we're going to change the floor height to 7 inches, and it's going to be in relation to level below. Then we're going to change the ceiling height to 8,7 because we want the ceiling to stay the same height as the surrounding rooms, but we want the floor to drop down a little bit. So what that'll do here really quick is create, you can kind of see the floor is lower, but the ceiling is the same as the foyer. And then the next thing we're going to do here is create the great room, and we're going to pull that off of the foyer. And this room is going to have a peaked ceiling on it. So we'll pull this out. The great room is 11 foot 10 by 18 foot 4, looks like. Yep, 11 foot 10. 11 foot 10 by, and we want to move this wall, so we're going to click on that wall handle to activate this here, so 18, 4. And then we're going to change the name, double click on there, and change it to great room. And then the ceiling type is a peaked. And the peak height is 17 feet. It's pretty tall. And we're going to come back to this room here in a short bit. But the next thing we want to do is we want to add some stairs to the foyer, and we're going to use the custom staircase tool. So let me zoom back in on this a little bit, center it up. So I'll grab my staircase tool, make sure I've got custom selected, and I can hit the C key on my keyboard and start this one about 4 feet up from the bottom. You can kind of see there on the lower right, right about there. Bring this up. It's going to snap here because it thinks you might want to create a landing. So I definitely want to create a landing. So I'm going to click once and then click again to set that landing. And I'm going to pull this up till it snaps again. Click once and then make sure my cursor is back from the landing because I don't want that landing there. And I'm going to click again and that sets my stairs. Okay. Watch that, rewind as many times as you need to kind of get that locked in. But that's where a lot of people get kind of messed up with this. We're going to do some edits here and change some properties. So we want to change the walls here. So I'm going to double click this wall and make it right here, wall type, missing above stairs.
Being a grade adjuster isn't just about policy and software. You got to know the difference between hail damage and worn out shingles. Hague has the gold standard books and certifications to back you up in the field or at the desk. Scan the QR code or hit hagueeducation.com and use Adjuster TV for a discount and level up with Hague.
This one I want to do the same thing, missing above stairs. Oops, I don't want that. Missing above stairs. Right there, and what that does is that it takes away the wall that would have otherwise been there blocking this. So now that's open. Another quick little thing here which will save you later, and when you're taking the test, this is the kind of small detail you need to pay attention for when you're going for especially your level 2, is you'll notice that this staircase is 3 feet wide here and the default is 3 feet wide. However, Sketch is doing something weird here where it really wanted to, it'll try to line up walls because of that kind of like construction thing we talked about in an earlier video where when you're building and designing and building houses, you kind of want to have like load bearing walls and things like that kind of line up. So this wall and this wall, Xactimate thinks you want to line those up, so it snaps them. It snaps this to that, which means that this is actually 2'10" wide, which is not what you want. So to fix that, make that 3 foot, which will come into play later, I'm going to click this, click that guy, type in 3, hit enter, and now our staircase is 3 feet here and 3 feet here, which is what it's supposed to be. And we'll notice it's not exactly lined up here anymore, which is the way the design, this particular diagram wants to be. Okay. Now we're going to jump back to our great room, and we're going to add a kind of a boxed offset, which is 6 foot, and it's 2'11" on either side. So let me kind of zoom into this a little bit here. So I'm going to use a brake tool, and I'm going to just kind of slap in a left click, hold, and drag to create 3 handles. I want to grab this middle handle. I'm not holding down the control key because I'm not trying to create a new room. I just want to pull this out. So left click, hold, and drag. It comes out about 2 feet. So I'm going to click that and make sure it's 2 feet. And then each one of these, this center one needs to be 6 foot, but each one of these side ones needs to be 2'11". So I'm actually going to change those because it'll be easier to get this the way I want it faster. Instead of trying to change this and you move this around, which you can't really do, you need to change these, and it'll automatically make that fit. So click that, change this to 2'11", and now you should see this is 6 foot. Okay. Now, what it did is it actually changed where my peak is centered. It centered the peak between the offset and this back wall. So if I move this around, you'll notice that the peak will move with it, and we don't want that. So what we have to do is we're going to use the orientation tool up here to kind of fiddle around with this until we get it to where this peak is back in the center. So I'm going to click on the orientation tool, and then I'm going to, you can either click it from there, the bottom left, right, or top. If we do it from this side, obviously you can see that it changes the peak to something wild and crazy, which is not what we want. If I grab the orientation tool again and go from the other side, it flips it over to the other side. But what we really want to do is we want to have that centered. So I think this way should recenter that back between this wall instead of this wall and this wall. So this, it recenters this whole thing. Okay. Now we're going to add a bay window, and we're going to do it off of our breakfast nook. And this is actually, it looks pretty complicated when you look at the final design and you're like, man, how do I even do that? But it's actually pretty easy. So very, very important. The best practices that Xactimate has, or Xactware has for creating new rooms, and it is to use the brake tool or to use the control, hold down control, left click, hold and drag wall handles to create rooms to kind of drag them out where you want to be, versus grabbing the room tool and then dropping a room in and trying to fit it in. They kind of prefer that you pull rooms off of existing rooms. But the caveat there is that when you do that, it's going to pull the attributes of that room, right? And we don't want to, in this case, we don't want to do that. We want to have a fresh room that has like the default attributes. So we wouldn't pull it off of the great room because the great room has a peaked ceiling. And if you pull it off the break room, then it's going to create the new room that you create will have a peaked ceiling as well, and it'll be all kind of janky. Same thing goes for the sunken dining room. Unless you want the next room to also have a sunken floor, pulling the attributes from the sunken dining room, you want to pull it from a room that just has the basic default. So we're going to do that here. So in this case, I'm going to just kind of pull it from this for the foyer, because the foyer is the defaults: 8-foot ceiling, box ceiling, nothing special or fancy about it, no sunken floor or anything. So hold down the control key. I'm going to pull this up. That room is a 11 by 11 foot 10. So this number needs to be 11 here, but this will snap in and become 11 foot 10 when we take it all the way over to there. So you see 11 foot 10 is the width we wanted, and 11 is the overall length. So now we're going to add, and this, we'll name it real quick. It's the breakfast nook. Double click on that. Breakfast nook. Okay. And again, we can move this around a little bit. So I'm going to hold my cursor over the red diamond there, tap the space bar, it turns the words green, and I'm going to left click, hold and drag this and kind of move it a little bit out of the way. So to add a bay window, super duper easy. Just go to window, and I'm going to click the down arrow and grab bay, which loads this thing onto my cursor, right? I haven't put it anywhere yet. To rotate this so that it fits where I want it, I'm going to hold down the shift key and tap the tab key. And it's going to rotate it counterclockwise. Rotate it the other way, just tab a couple times. Now I want to kind of lock it into the corner on that right side, and then I just click, and that is it. That's all you have to do for that. And it creates an automatic bay window, complete with default windows and the walls and everything where you want them. You can create that by hand from scratch, but it's way easier to do it using this tool. And of course, you can always change the dimensions of it if you need to. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to create the kitchen and a pantry in the kitchen that has an angled wall, which is going to introduce the vertex tool. And again, if you haven't taken the level 2 certification prep training, which again is included inside of Adjuster TV Plus here, probably want to do that, because in those lessons, I take a lot of time walking through every single one of these tools and every single one of these rooms, and I'm doing this really in a fraction of the time that it takes to go through those other lessons, because in that level 2 training, it introduces a lot of new tools, and we spend more time talking about them. But here, I'm trying to do it fast, so you kind of have a fast reference. So let's keep going. So I want to pull my kitchen off of this side here. So I'm going to just hold down the control key, left click, hold and drag, pull this out. And that room is a 13 by 8 13 foot 8 by 14 foot 2. So let's see what it does here. So I'm just going to drag this straight down and snap that in. That gives me my 14 foot 2. And then I want to move this wall to make this 13 foot 8. 13 comma 8. Try that again. 13 comma 8. There we go. Double click kitchen. If I can spell kitchen right. And now the defaults in here are the same, right? This, because I didn't pull it off of the sunken dining room, it's not going to pull the sunken floor for the kitchen. So that's the kitchen right there. This is the sunken dining room. And you can see that the floor is still sunken, but it's not on the dining room, obviously, but it's not on this new kitchen because I pulled it off of this room over here, right? Which pulled from this room, and they're all pulling the same defaults. So, this particular room has a default 8-foot ceiling and a regular floor. So I want to add a pantry that's 4'5" by 4'4" up here in the corner. So I'm going to tap the B key, 4 foot, just get it kind of close-ish. Hold down the control key, grab that handle, left click, hold and drag, pull this down, and make that 4'4", 4, and then that says 4'5", but I'm going to double check it, and obviously it's not right. So 4,5, and then I'm going to double click it, call it pantry, subgroup of kitchen, and now my whoops, that's not painting, pantry. So now we have our pantry. Now what I want to do is I want to create an angled wall on here with a door on it, sort of for some kind of architectural interest. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the vertex tool and basically, again, kind of the Cliff Notes version of this. What it does when you use the vertex tool is it basically gives you a new red diamond. And anytime you move a red diamond, it's only going to move that point or that corner, right? So if I left click, hold and drag, that red diamond gives me angles, right? Which, if you messed around with it enough, you might be able to figure out a way to create an angled wall there. But I don't want this, right, or some variation of that. What I want is to use the I need that thing to hinge right there. I need a new vertex right there, which basically each corner you could call a vertex, right? It's a place where you can do, that kind of thing. Whereas if you want to just move a wall, you grab the blue handle. So I'm going to grab the vertex tool, which is right here, which again, V is the keyboard shortcut. And I'm going to click right basically in the middle here. Now you'll see a new diamond appear, right? I don't want to do anything with that one because if I do, then I'm going to end up with, that's all I can do here with that, clicking that one. And that's not what I want. So I'm going to do that again, 2'2", and I'm going to grab this one, which creating the vertex there basically creates a hinge, if you will. So I'm going to click this over. It snaps to a 45-degree angle right there, even though it says 135. 135 is the opposite of 140, or I'm sorry, 45 degree. So now we have a vertex, or sorry, an angled wall, and I'm going to put a door on there, but I want to make sure that the dimensions of it are exactly right. And so what I'll do is I want to make sure that this outside number here is 2'7", and this one's 2'6". So I'm going to change this one, which will move this wall out, right? Just like this, and you can kind of get it close if you mess with it like this, but that number is probably not going to be correct. So it's 2'7" and 7/16. I want it to be exactly 2,7, which gets me my 3'1" on the outside, 2'9" on the inside, which is what I'm after. 2'6", 2'7". So I really only had, in order to get that right, even if it was like this, right? All I had to do is select this wall because this is the one I want to move. Click this 2,7. And then it snaps everything into where it needs to be. Okay, I'll add the door a little bit later when we add doors to this whole thing. So the next thing we want to do here is we're going to add a bathroom with a, let's see, a bathroom, a mud room, and kind of a toilet area. So we're going to create a pony wall. So we're going to add, and it all comes off the kitchen. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hold down Control, left click, hold and drag that, and it comes out 6 feet. Right, and then I'm going to hold down the Control key, left click, hold and drag this handle, and create a new room up here. Right, and I want to move this wall back down because my mud room wants to be 3 feet wide, and down here, and then my bathroom's here, my mud room's here. Right, so this is the bathroom, and then this is the mud slash hall. Okay, now let's create our little kind of toilet room, sort of like modesty divider for this. And you'll see here, if you didn't happen to see it when it was finished, and now here we're going to create that. So I'm going to grab the wall tool, right? So I click once on the wall tool, and then it wants to be about 3'2" down. So I'm going to go down 3'4", just to take into account the extra 2 feet. Click once, and then walk this thing out. I'm not dragging or anything. I'm only moving the mouse. I haven't touched anything else on the keyboard or the mouse or the buttons or anything. I'm just moving the mouse in and out, right? So I don't know if you can see that. This is all I'm doing, not clicking anything. So that lets me move this around. So this comes out 2'10", and again, it'll want to keep going, so you have to hit the escape key. But if I select it and select that red diamond right there, then I can come down here and click this and make it 2,10. I'm gonna do that one more time. So this basically creates a floor to ceiling wall, but I want to make sure this is totally clear. So I'm gonna select that, delete it, and start over. So I'm gonna hit the W key for wall. Sorry, Shift W for wall, Shift W, which loads a wall tool onto my cursor. Come down about 3'4", click one time, move my mouse out roughly 2'10", click again, and notice it still wants to keep going. You can create an infinite long wall, but I'm done creating the wall. So I'm gonna hit the escape key on my keyboard to get that to lock this wall in, right? So I'm gonna click that diamond there. Just make sure that this is 2,10, and this is, let's see, can I do that? Yeah, this is 3,2. Oh, change that. Snap that in. 2,10. Now I want to make this. I want to change the properties of this thing and make it a half wall, or like a pony wall, or a knee wall, or whatever you want to call it. So what I need to do is go missing end to end, yes, which will open up an additional thing here. It says opening goes to ceiling, yes. Opening base height is 4 feet, right? And then you got to change the wall thickness to 4 inches, or whatever in this case it's 4 inches, because you can see here it kind of made the wall disappear. And I'm gonna hit enter. So now when I go back in here and look at the 3D view, I've got a little modesty half wall that a person can set their joke book, their newspaper, their cup of coffee right there, right? And it's a little bit of a modesty kind of a cover sort of wall. Okay, that is pretty much this sketch, the basics of this sketch, all the rooms. Now what I want to do is add the windows, doors, and missing walls. And then I encourage you to go and watch the training, the level 2 training for that covers everything else as far as I'm not going to add the reference blocks and the counters and things like that. We really just kind of want to get the broad strokes of this particular diagram, just to kind of give you an idea of how quickly you can do it. Obviously, if I wasn't explaining this, I'd be, as I was going, I'd be able to go a lot faster. So let's start with our missing walls. Well, no, we'll do what our normal thing is. We'll start with the windows. So we have all default windows, standard windows, except for the kitchen, which has 3030 with a base height of 4. So let's start with that one. A window right in the middle here. It's 5 foot. That's a default, but we want it to be 3 by 3 with a base height of 4 because it's probably going to be over the sink, right? So we change the size and the height of that window right there. Now I'm going to just grab the W key and hold down the control key on my keyboard, and I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 other windows. One here, one here, roughly in the middle, one here, and then what was it? Where's the last one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, here, right there. And I hit this. I still have that loaded on my cursor, so I'm gonna hit this escape key to take that off. Now I've got those default windows popped on there, no problem, right? There doesn't appear to be a window there for some reason. Maybe that's a fireplace. All right, now we're going to add our doors. So the doors are default doors except for the front door and the pantry. And this is the pantry one we'll start with because it's a little bit tricky. I think people will get hung up on it a little bit. You cannot add a default door here because maybe you can't. Let's try. It's a short distance, and Xactimate may not want you to do it, but we're going to try it anyway. So D for door. You can't. Yeah, so it won't let you do it. So I'm loading the door key, clicking right in the middle, and nothing happens. Right? It just goes back to nothing. So I'm going to tap the D key on my keyboard again to load the door tool, and I'm going to kind of go over here within 3 or 4 inches of this one or the other side, doesn't matter, and I'm going to left click, hold, and drag my 2-foot door. And I'm going to double check that by clicking on the number when it's highlighted, tap 2, and now I can kind of center this thing up a little bit if I needed to, but there's my pantry door. And according to that diagram, it's that the door opens that way. The other door is the front door, which is a 3-foot door. So we're going to drop in our 3-foot door right here. So I tap the D key, left click, hold, and drag. I'm going to click that, make sure it's 3 foot, and then I will flip horizontal because that door wants to open to the left. Now I'm going to add in 1, 2, 3 other doors, right? And I'm going to tap the D key, I'm going to hold down control, and I'm going to click once there, and once to the bathroom, right there. Okay, I'm going to flip that one vertical. That one's right. Flip this one horizontal. Okay, so now I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors in here. Now let's do our missing walls. So we have between the breakfast nook, the kitchen, and the mud hall, we have missing walls, and also between the great room and the foyer here, and then between the foyer and this area. So I really need to get rid of that wall, this wall, this wall, this wall, this wall, and this wall, just using the missing wall tool, just clicking once on each wall. So I'm going to tap M to load the missing wall tool onto my cursor, and then I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm just going to delete those walls, basically. So I'm going to hold down control, delete, 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 and delete. Okay? And now that's our diagram. So it's a little bit closer to what the final product will be. Obviously, you walk in and you have access to these areas without walls. Now we need to do a missing wall here, but it's going to be an opening with a flat arch and an opening with a flat arch here. So those are missing walls. 8 foot and an 8, 10. does not look like those are flat arches. So they're just a regular rectangle tops on them. So forget I said the flat arch thing. All right, so I'm going to grab missing wall tool again. I'm going to tap M, and I'm going to left click, hold, and drag an 8 foot going into the kitchen. All right, so I'm going to stretch it out a little ways, and I'm going to click the number again and type in 8, and that creates that guy right there. And then I'm going to do that one more time here for this side. So tap the M key to load that on my cursor, left click, hold, and drag, and it's a 8 foot 10. So 8, 10. And now we've got our 2 missing walls going into the sunken dining room. One final thing we're going to do here is our stacked wall openings, and this is a little bit of a challenge, and this tends to kind of mess people up a little bit. But we're going to use what's called the elevation tool right here, the elevation view, right? When you click on it, what it does is it doesn't look like it does anything, but it loads this little E onto your cursor, and then it gives these red arrows all over the place. And when you say yes, this is the side I want to look at, or this is the side I want to look at, you click, then it brings up an interior view of that front door and basically this blank wall here. So we're going to add some windows to this, some stacked windows, and I'm going to kind of go a little bit fast through this because I go in a lot more detail in the actual. This is again a supplement to the main level 2 certification training. So there's a couple of little pitfalls, but when you're looking at this diagram, you may notice that the door isn't exactly where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to slide it over. Just to give myself some more room to put windows here. A window is going to go there, and then a big window is going to go right here. So you have the same tools right here. So your window tool, your doorway tool, and your missing wall tool. You'll notice that the default may or may not fit, right? So you see the little like no smoking sign or the Ghostbusters symbol or whatever you want to call it right there, but it's not right there. Right, because you can't just drop the default in there. What you have to do is you have to left click, hold, and drag. But we're going to drop this first window in here, and we're going to get it as close as we can. So that big window is a 4 by 5'4". So it's 5'4" wide, and you really just kind of have to click and drag to pull this out. Right, so that's the number I'm after, and then it's 4 feet tall. I'm sorry, the width is 4 feet. And it's 5'4" tall. Right there. Okay. This is pure blind luck that happened. But the thing that trips people up on this part is that you'll see it says 8 inches right here. And then when you go to move this with this center handle, it actually says 1'8", 1'9", right? It adds a foot to it. The reason why it's doing that is because it's adding in the floor joists below this. So it's a 12-inch floor joist, it's like a subfloor kind of a thing. And then when you let go, that 8 inches is the distance from the top of the floor to the bottom of the window. So that's one thing that messes people up, right? All you really have to do is just subtract a foot from whatever you want to do. So if you're like, oh, I needed it to be 1'6", then you would make that 2'6", and then it'll snap to 1'6", right? Kind of weird, kind of confusing, but we want to make this 1'8" because it'll give us our 8-inch, right? Now for the rest of the windows, we're going to left click, hold, and drag these. So I'm going to hit the W key, I'm going to left click, hold, and drag, and I'm going to slide this over where it wants to be. Actually, I'm going to make it smaller, right? You can move these around wherever you want them to. This one's supposed to be centered over the top of this door, and it's 3 foot wide. It's hard to see at the very top there, which is where that measurement is. And then it's a height is 1 foot 1 inch, which will show up over here. 1 foot 1. Okay. We do need to fix this one and make it a round arch. So I'm going to click the properties key or button and go round arch right there. and that changes that to a round arch. And this is how you stack windows and doors and things on top of each other, which you cannot do from the main view. Now we have 3 more windows to add here real quick, and I'm gonna make one and then copy and paste it. So again, grab a window, left click, hold and drag. This window, these 3 windows are all the same size, and they are 2 by 1'8", so 2 foot wide, right there, by, whoops, right there by 1'8", 6, 7, 8, right there on the right. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it's 2 foot 1'8", 9'8", right there. And then this bottom one wants to be 8 inches off the bottom, and then the rest of them are 5 inches apart from each other. So slide this one down here to 1'8", roughly. Let go, and I'm going to right click, copy, right click, paste, and stick that one there. Right click, paste, and stick that one there. Actually, so now it's hard to get these to show the inches between them, but basically this window here is going to be lined up with the top of that one, right about like that. And again, according to basic geometry, it doesn't really matter where these windows are, right? The dimensions of the wall will remain the same. But this is how you stack windows. So now if I go back to my plan view, you're like, I can't really tell, but you can sort of see that this is what a stacked window and door look like, right? Those are those 3 windows. The view we had is from the inside, which is why they're on the opposite side, and then there's that big window. But let's take a look at this. Right, so now this is what this looks like. This is the inside view is the one we edited, and now this is what it looks like from the outside. All right, so we're going to skip the reference blocks and all that stuff, and then we're going to go ahead and jump to building the second floor of this, and then once we do that, then we'll be done with this particular diagram. So the next thing we're going to do here is add a level. Right, you call it level 2. You can change the name to whatever you want, or just probably just leave it at level 2. And then, in order for this to really work, the tool that you're going to use here to make sure that your upstairs lines up with your downstairs is you're going to use what's called the snap line. Right, so you grab this, you click on the snap line, and I want to put it basically right where this part of the top of the stairs down. You can kind of see the outline of the stairs here, hopefully. Yeah, you should be able to see that. There's a little crosshair right in the exact dead center of that corner. I'm going to scroll in, zoom in as close as I need to kind of line up my snap line with that sort of that plus sign or that crosshair right there. All right, get it right on it. And then click, and then that locks my zip line in. So now I can line it. Things will snap to, any rooms and things I make upstairs will snap to that line, right? So we're going to kind of create a pretty cool upstairs loft area, which looks like this. You can kind of see that there's a bedroom and a hallway and then sort of like a loft area. So we're going to create that right now. Pretty straightforward, nothing real super complicated about this. But we're going to add a hallway, right? So I'm going to grab the room tool, tap R on my keyboard, and just, you can see this is already snapping to that snap line. No matter what I do here, like it wants to snap to it. So I'm going to go ahead and snap that out like that and just kind of get something on there. But you can see that this corner here is perfectly lined up with the corner downstairs via that snap line. Now, technically, you're kind of done with the snap line at this point. So you can delete it, right? You just select, you can lasso it like that, which selects it. It makes it a little bit more bold and dark, and then just hit the delete key on your keyboard, right? So this room here is the hallway, and it's 17 feet long by 2 foot 10. So we're going to move this wall in 17 feet, and then the width is actually 2 foot 10, not 2 foot 11, 2, 10. 10. And again, I'm moving this wall here, not that one, because I've already got that snapped in. Okay, so that lines up with that downstairs wall. It's a load-bearing wall. Part of its exterior wall. Okay, so I've got my hallway in there. And then I'm going to add the loft, which is over the foyer. So I'm going to hit the B key for my brake tool, kind of line that up there, and then left click, hold and drag, pull this down, snap it in, kind of lock it into the floor below. Should give me exactly what I need, which is an 8'6" by 10'10". And then I'm going to slide this over to here. Actually change it to 8, 6. Right, and that's our loft. Then we're going to add a bedroom up here, which probably the easiest way to do this is just to, you could use the brake tool if you want to, but this is going to be just as effective. So I'm going to hold down the control key, left click, hold and drag this up to 11 foot, which is what it wants to be. And then I'll just move this wall in, 11'6", 11,6. Pull it out a little bit, 11,6. And that's our bedroom. Okay, now we're going to add doors and missing walls. We're also going to add that really cool little like railing, missing walls here with the railings. So we'll start with our doors. There's no windows up here for some reason. Maybe it's got skylights right on the ceiling. So we'll add one door, which is a standard door, appears to be. So a D key, pop that guy right in there. I'm going to flip it vertical and horizontal so that it's in the right spot. That looks realistic because the door probably want to open into the wall over here, right? And then we're going to do 2 missing walls. So M key, hold down the control key, zap that one, and now hit escape. And I'm going to double click. We're not doing missing walls for these. We just need to change the properties of this to go from this look, right, to the loft look, which is what we're after. I'm going to double click that wall, double click the wall, and I'm going to say missing end to end, yes. Opening goes to ceiling, yes. And then railing balustrade, yes. Okay. We'll do that same thing for this wall. Double click it, missing end to end, yes. Don't worry about the thickness. Opening goes to ceiling, railing balustrade, yes. So now what we've got is our lofted thing. The stairs are right here, right? You can't see them in this view. And then that's our kind of overview here. So that is your upstairs. And then this is your main level. And this is the Hernandez sketch, as high speed as I could do it.
Hernandez is kind of a monster, but the next challenge is a different beast altogether. The Ocean View sketch. This is a sprawling commercial building with offices and hallways that test your precision and workflow in a whole new way. And that walkthrough is waiting for you in the next video right here. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm.